David, nobody listens to your podcast.
They call out narcissism instead of the system that they're trapped in. Now I'm trapping about all the times I said swish and you said miss. Well, excuse me, missus, tell me what's wrong with all the conversations. Tell me what's right with all these assumptions that we're making. Well, excuse me, missus, do you have a minute? 'Cause I think I'm going crazy. I just feel like I'm missing everything you call ordinary. Is the cure for loss just coming back home? Is the cure for sanity just saying hello? Is the cure for loneliness just art in my bedroom? Is the cure for all the hate just staring us right in our face? Well, excuse me, missus, do you have a minute? 'Cause I think I'm going crazy. I just feel like I'm missing everything you call ordinary. Well, excuse me, missus, what do you call ordinary today? 'Cause to me it's missing.
Okay. All right, so mic attachments. So I should attach this mic to this one. And it might automatically attach to this guy. Yep, okay, so we'll just switch them here. All right. Then we'll attach yours to this guy.
Can I sit on that side?
Yeah, wherever you'd like. Oh, it attached, cool. Testing. So yeah, like this thing's pretty, if you want to even come over here, you can look at the audio levels as you talk into it, and you can see at the top, if it goes red, that means it's clipping, but so if you want to test your voice, see what level you want to do.
Testing, like right here. If I bring it to, yeah.
Okay, do you want to just make sure that that camera is on me?
Doom, doom, doom.
And then I'll make sure that one's on you, just for the final.
Oh yeah. Needs to set this down.
And also you can use that little,
Like this thing here.
no, this little guy can like move the camera a little.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so if you just want to get it kind of perfectly on me, I'll sit right here, sip my tea.
Yes, sir.
You think you got a good view from that seat? I think I got a better view.
Like, oh my. Beautiful. Yeah.
Is the mic picking it up?
Yeah.
It is? Okay, cool. Sweet.
Shall we?
Yes, let's just make sure this one's good and then we'll gotta get Tyrone in the shot.
Hey.
All right.
Okay. Dude, this seat is so warm. Obviously, it's sunlight. You know, it's from the sunlight, but oh my God.
Is it that hot?
Buns roasting.
Really? Mine feels nice.
Truly.
Feels like a sauna out here.
I haven't sat in a sauna in a while.
Really?
It's been a minute.
You gotta go into a
Are
sauna.
we recording right now? Sorry.
Yeah, we're live.
I shouldn't ask that while we're in the middle of recording.
It's all right. I would rather just go in
Yeah.
than like, all right, 3, 2, 1, you know?
Perform.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's great to see you.
It's great to see you, David Applebaum.
And in this setting, I really enjoyed doing our last podcast.
Yeah.
Although I can't really see your eyes because of the sunglasses, but we forgive you because, guys, if you don't know, it is like 90. You don't know because you're watching us, but it's like 90 degrees. It's
is.
like 95 degrees probably. It feels really humid. So it feels like a sauna out here.
I'll take off my glasses for your podcast.
No. You
David
don't have to take.
Applebaum.
You don't have to take off your glasses.
You know,
All right.
make eye contact. You know what I mean?
Well, you have beautiful eyes, so
Thank you. You also.
thank you.
I love the color of your eyes, David.
Thank you.
It's very much like a burnt honey color. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Burnt honey.
Burnt honey.
We'll take that.
Oh gosh.
I love honey. So how are you doing?
I'm well. I'm doing really well. Today's been a great day. I got up, went to the gym, drove around a bit, had a little meal, and now I'm here. This is pretty much my only plan outside of going and exercising. Like I was trying to make sure that my days off were actually days off, instead of feeling like I had to like run around and play catch up and all this stuff. So it's been a good day.
Nice.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing great. I feel like the energy is palpable right now in my life in terms of just like this forward momentum that I'm really trying to capitalize on. And yeah, I just feel like the momentum is a huge thing in my life. Like the more that I've just gone and just kept showing up and kept, sticking to the things that I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
I feel like that has built not only self-love, but also self-confidence and self-belief
Yeah.
in what I'm trying to build here. And yeah, it's honestly kind of like, in a sense, kind of scary at the same time, in the sense of like where this is all going to go.
Yeah.
And, if it goes to a place where like, I can't even like go outside at a certain point because I'm like recognized everywhere. Like I think about that a lot. But that maybe that's being a little overzealous. But that's just my honest feelings. The real question is, should we try one of these fruits that I just picked off a tree? I'm kind of afraid to try this.
I also am afraid to try that because I just don't want to fall over and be passed away.
But I mean, if you get really thirsty, because you didn't bring drinks, I brought drinks. You can obviously have some of my water if you'd like.
You made the good decision to bring beverages. It's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Under direct sunlight, and I have no water. But I did chug some. On my way here, I have like these creatine and electrolyte packs.
Yeah.
I put it in a liter of water, and then I took it back.
Nice.
It was great.
Well, if we get really hot and thirsty, we can always go in this lake that you guys can't see. It's a beautiful lake.
It's gorgeous.
And I'm not going to tell you where we are because, yeah.
So don't show up.
Don't show up.
And if we get hungry, we have some questionable berries.
Yes, and there's a lot of berries on the tree over there, so we can even get more. But yeah, I feel like my spiritual growth recently has been really, and I wonder if you can relate to this or maybe just talk about your own growth, because I have this song lyric that goes like, "Won't you come sit down and talk with me and show me how you're growing?" And I kind of sing it so it kind of rhymes a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
And show me how you're growing, because that's everything to me. And then the next line is, "At least your insecurities are your purity. You're curing me in the summer." Something like that.
Yeah.
And hey, we're in the summer, and I'm asking
indeed.
Tyrone how he's growing, because that I feel like, so when I first met you, I don't know if you remember this. Everyone has a different recollection of like how they first met people, but when I first met you, I met you at work, and we were in the locker room, and we didn't really like connect, but like I sensed your energy, and I was like, I like his energy. I can see us connecting. I just wonder when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That was kind of how I felt about things. And then we connected at certain points, obviously, but like, I think we were both in much different places then. And I'm curious how you feel about that.
Yeah. I certainly, because I want to say, how long has it been? I feel like we first met each other. When did you start it?
I started like 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
So
Because of like the locker room and stuff like that, we kind of passed by everybody at some point, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so our proximity was always really close. I definitely agree that it was like a different place, like mentally, emotionally for me, like where I was at that point versus where I am now, or they feel like night and day, you know? And I feel like what changed that was a lot of like very intentional work, you know? It wasn't just like letting things happen to me, you know? It was me going and being like, I'm gonna dig into all of these different things. You know what I mean? All this stuff that I maybe feel like life is presenting me with, you know? Bringing up whatever anxieties or fears or worries or what have you. I just kind of felt the need to dig into all of it. You know, naturally who I am as a human being, I'm just very intentional. You know, there's not a lot about me that's impulsive. I'm not an impulsive human being. I don't really kind of give into compulsion, things like that. I'm very thoughtful, and I try to be at least very...
that makes one of us.
You know, and some people, it's like, you know, that's their journey, that's their path. You know, they learn through the things that they do through impulse, that maybe you went and you learned something great by being impulsive, you know, or you bumped your head because you went down a slippery slope. But I just have always been a bit more thoughtful about how I'm moving. And in that, though, lately it's been a lot of growth. I've been doing like shadow work and, you know, journaling a lot and discovering people on YouTube and on social media that are really pouring into me. I think both directly and indirectly, because I have yet to meet these men, but they give me things that I just feel like they're so invaluable, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like David Bayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that guy. He's so good. I feel like I watch his stuff all the time. Actually, I don't even know how frequent. Like every time he posts something, I'm like, bookmark it or save for later. Like I always make sure I can circle back to it.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love YouTube. I think YouTube is like the greatest, one of the greatest companies in the world, just because of how it can widespread kind of thoughts and education. It's like, it feels like almost, and like creativity, it feels like almost how like social and connection, like it feels like almost like how social media was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the original social media companies. But yeah, David Bayer, like there's so many great things on YouTube that I learn. And David Bayer is great. I'd love to have him on the show one day. David, if you're watching this.
Absolutely. Do it, David.
Yeah. Come on with me and Tyrone. We'll talk to you.
Round table discussion.
But what do you think is one of the greatest insights you've picked up from David? Not me.
Dang it. I think in terms of maybe what I picked up from David Bayer,
It's a tough question because he's very esoteric and he's very out there. So it's like a lot of the things that David Bayer teaches you, it's almost like you want to like just internalize it, and not really talk about it as much because it's kind of personal to life, and also he's hard to in a ways encapsulate in a few sentences like his whole message and everything. But I feel like he's very his videos are really like impactful if you're thinking about just building the best life you want to live.
Yeah, I agree. And I think something that he talks about that I really appreciate is like, he's mentioned a couple times, I think, about identity shifting and the idea of, you know, when you hear that, it sounds like, what? You know what I mean? Like you're trying to be somebody else. But I think what that kind of leans into is changing your self-perception, you know, and changing your own self-concept, and like maybe looking at how you see like your experiences, like your past, the things that you, like the mistakes you've made, whether you want to call them mistakes or not, the journey you've been on. You know, sometimes people beat themselves up a lot for whatever they've done that didn't maybe go according to plan, or they kind of are maybe bitter about this person did that to me and they shouldn't have, and blah, 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 but like taking it and reframing it. So I feel like a lot of that is like, he talks about how a lot of what you see in your life is a reflection of you, you know, and like how you see yourself and things like that is going to be what you attract in your life. You know, if you beat yourself up a lot, you're oftentimes going to find a lot of people that treat you like crap. You know what I mean? If you think highly of yourself, and not in an arrogant or like conceited way, but in a, I think I'm great. You know what I mean? Like if I can toot my own horn for a second, like thinking about myself and the way I've had to change my own self-concept or self-perception, it's been like, I look at myself and I think about how considerate of a human being that I am. You know, I'm a very thoughtful man. I'm a creative and careful man.
Agree. Hard agree.
And that's who I am, and I acknowledge that. And some people, like they feel ashamed or guilty for acknowledging their own goodness. You know, whatever they deem as like good traits, they feel like they have to like knock themselves down or be self-deprecating. But I abandoned that. But and David Bayer and some of the things that he's talked about helped me get to that point, you know, where I could abandon it.
Yeah, it's a fine line between self-love and ego.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do we think highly of ourselves without becoming too engulfed in this power trip?
Yeah.
And what really is thinking highly of ourselves? And in essence, I feel like thinking highly of ourselves is like also thinking highly of just like life in general and just like everyone around us. Like, I feel like the more, it's like a self-feeding, not self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's like a loop that feeds on itself. Like when you love life and you love other people, you start to love yourself. And you can pick one of the three things. If you start to love yourself and you start to love life, then you start to love other people. It's like they all feed on each other. And I feel like we have to, as a society, realize that. I think it's really important to differentiate, because we've had so many, I feel like in our world, we've had so many like quote unquote evil people who have done horrible things based on their power trip, based on their ego. So I think as a society and as people have this like, whoa, reaction to like anyone who's like, I love myself and I think I'm great. And it's like, whoa, slow down. Like, don't do it, man. Don't do it. It's like, but then it's like, when we are able to love ourselves and think we're great, I think it's very much like the mind is like a parasite, and that can be a positive thing or a negative thing. It's like it can feed on itself. So that positivity you have with yourself, I think, can feed into positivity with other people.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's why I think it's really important to differentiate ego and self-love personally. And part of self-love is also, I think, like being able to be critical with yourself
Mm-hmm.
and being honest with yourself. Because without honesty, it's like, that's not really love per se, because you're not really, examining things that could bring you what you truly desire,
Yeah.
It's like the concept, I just talked about this yesterday on a TikTok. It's like, I think the concept of the scale is a really funny thing, like stepping on the scale and looking at a number. And I don't want this to offend anyone if you're watching, but like, because I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but it's like, I think it's like the dumbest invention ever. Like, looking at the scale and figuring out the number on the screen. It's like, well, okay, at the end of the day, whether, you put in the effort or not.
Yeah.
And if you need the number on the screen to tell you, there's a disconnect there that is this form of dishonesty, which I think is antithetical to your life and the lives of people around you, because when you lie to yourself, you end up lying to other people. And I saw this great quote online that said, karma is the lies we tell to ourselves. So and when I first saw that, I was like, what does that mean? Then I thought about it, and it's like, well, over time, I feel like karma, or how our lives play out, is basically just an accumulation of how much we like want to look at the number and get distracted from like, did I actually just, do the right thing? Did I put in the effort? Is this something I can be proud of? And that's a very hard conversation to have with ourselves. I think a lot of people, it goes back to the identity. I think a lot of people want to stay in this identity that is comforting. And the question is it really comforting in the long run?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
I feel like...
That was a lot, sorry.
Speak on it. I think like... When I think about identity, it feels like a construct that is incredibly malleable, because you know how you have this idea of like nature versus nurture. There's kind of a core version of yourself, right? Kind of the way you show up in the world, kind of organically. But then there are these nurtured behaviors that you maybe identify with in terms of like how you interact with other human beings, how you interact with the world, whether or not you interact with the world. Some people would call themselves like, what is it? It's like I'm an extrovert or I'm an introvert or what have you. But sometimes those things are nurtured behaviors. You know what I mean? Sometimes it is like, okay, well, I'm somebody who maybe needs a minute to go and recharge by myself because that just serves me well. Mm-hmm. I know for myself, I'm a bit of both. I'm a extroverted introvert. Like, I'm not somebody who is like, people don't really drain me, but when I appreciate my alone time. I appreciate being able to go home, sit and be quiet, keep my lights on like the lowest setting, keep the dimly lit, and watch my TV, watch my shows, do whatever I'm gonna do, get away from the things and recharge,
That inner world.
Yeah.
It's peaceful.
Truly. It is.
For some of us, but yeah. And I think maybe for all of us, I would say, like, maybe the identity we have is a lot more similar than we think it's dissimilar. Maybe the nature within us is a lot more similar than we think it's dissimilar. Like, I think
What do you mean?
we we value like the new trend in society is like looks maxing, like aesthetic. The aesthetic, I gotta
Crazy.
I gotta look the best.
Yeah.
And it's like, but maybe like that's not what really matters at the end of the day. Maybe what really matters at the end of the day is the kind of person you are. Because I've met a lot of people who are beautiful on the outside and end up being compulsive liars,
Yeah.
doing whatever they can to tear you down and bring themselves up.
Yeah.
And that's not, I really don't like judgment. I don't like casting judgment on other people. This is just like an observation,
Absolutely.
And so I think like, what are our values as a society is really important, obviously. And I think that when it comes to identity, I think that the spiritual aspect of it is very important. Who we are on the inside. And I think that if we can realize that many of us are a lot more similar than we are different on this very core nature, but yet also the differences in our spirits is what creates the beauty around us as well. I think that that's really helpful going forward for the world, because like I really believe in that. Like no one can ever rock me off that kilter like of belief of what I just said, because I just think that like whether it's nature versus nurture, we all kind of come into this world with this pureness.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's interesting. I'm reading this book right now called The 12 Laws of the Universe. I forget the man's name, and I'm not going to try. But it's great. And I found it on Spotify. So I'm mostly listening to the book, not reading it, but I intend to read it as well. And there's this law called the Law of Divine Oneness. And it's essentially talking about how we're all very much like a part of one ecosystem, right? How you show up in the world is going to directly affect the person that you're sitting across from. And then whoever they go sit across from is going to affect them. And so we all kind of rub off on each other, And I think when you can tap into that like pure identity that you have, whatever, because like you use the word similar versus identical, right? Like we are similar, we are not 100% the same, but we are similar. A lot of like kind of when you talk about human beings being communal creatures and kind of wanting to feel a part of a thing, we all share that to some extent, And I think that, knowing how to navigate that without it becoming like you're supposed to want this thing this way, or I'm supposed to want that thing that way, or this is how it's supposed to show up in my life, or what have you. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that. And it's like, especially like when you think about just like as men, you know what I mean? I think now more than ever we talk about like male identity, but we're in a place where we get to kind of free ourselves from like the kind of oppressive belief of, I'm a man. You know what I mean? The machismo, like I have to talk with the lowest octave of my voice, otherwise I'm going to be emasculated. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. I feel like that's what nature is calling for.
Yeah.
It's like we're hitting like this point in nature where it's so obvious that like the masculine got oversaturated within us.
Yeah.
And it's time to tap into the feminine. Yeah. And you see that kind of within all the kind of movements that you see today with, women just wanting more rights and wanting more, just feeling like their voices are heard.
Yeah, visibility.
Yeah. And I think it's more than like women. I think it's also just like the feminine side of our divine nature, of our purity, because
that duality, like the polarities,
right,
and both of those being seen, you know, and because I think when anyone is entirely masculine or entirely feminine, that's imbalance. You know what I mean? Because you need both. Both play a role in existence. You know what I mean? Without, and it's not even male or female, it's without masculine or without feminine, masculine kind of isn't fruitful. They need each other to be fruitful and multiply and grow and continue to expand. Once you start to see like the masculine kind of expressive, like active, like way, it can become destructive.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And in the same way, if it's too feminine, it becomes too much into the feminine. It becomes you consume so much. You know what I mean? You take in so much. And then it also becomes imbalanced. So you need those two.
Yeah, yeah.
To balance each other.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I think that like personally my own journey on that has been really awesome to understand because I think like I have always been like this overthinker and this person who hasn't really taken action on my creative pursuits. And but I have this like feminine side to me, this creative, like very like giving and vulnerable side to me.
Yeah. And
I just haven't really tapped into the masculine of the action in my life. But at the same time, there is this kind of side to me that's like, well, I didn't want to be too like the side where it's like, I never want to be too overbearing. And I feel like basically it's just like I've been like, I think we're all, and what I'm trying to say is I think we're all just like really sensitive to this imbalance that's happening right now in the masculine and the feminine. And I've really kind of like internalized it. And I just implore anyone who's kind of done that, kind of same internalization of that to not be so hard on yourself. Cause I was really hard on myself and like, just like, being, thinking I wasn't doing enough, and then thinking everything that I made had to be perfect, and everything I created had to be perfect, and just and not really just being like finding that self-love to like express myself, even if it was, a little overbearing or masculine, because I knew that I had this feminine side that was also beautiful, that needed to be expressed.
Yes, indeed.
So it's kind of about finding that internal balance. And then I talked about this yesterday, like I made a TikTok about this. It's like relating to this point. It's, I think that like in life, one of like, if I were to tell my younger self some very valuable advice, it would be this, it would be figure out your intention. And once you realize that intention is positive, I want to build this business to help these people in these ways, or I want to build whatever in my community. I want to be a positive person in every room I go to, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then maybe your intention is I want to, harm people, right? Maybe that's your intention. But you should figure out what that intention is, and you should actually be critical of that process. And you should actually be in your head in that process and actually be very kind of overthinking that process. But then once you've kind of determined that, I think you have to throw overthinking out the window, and you have to be like relentlessly positive, because from there's so many other people who haven't figured out their intention and, or whatever. There's so many just other people outside noise that you really have to, really just have to like be relentlessly positive and like bulldoze through. It's like, I've already thought about my sale. I've already thought about my direction. Yeah. I already know where I'm going. Yeah. At that point, the overthinking needs to be just relentlessly positive, flipping every negative thought into positivity.
Yeah.
And I think that ties into balancing the masculine and the feminine. When we balance the masculine and the feminine, then we've kind of figured out a lot of our duality, worked on our shadow, and then we're able from that point, I think, to be delusionally positive. Because there's going to be a lot of things that want to prevent you from doing something that is positive and that you know is positive. And that's crazy to me to like really think about that. To like think about the fact that like if I want to like feed 1 billion people who are like starving in the world, there's going to be people out there who
that find a problem with that.
And that's crazy to think about.
It's insane. It's like the value of human life outside of your own. You know what I mean? Like I can understand like the need for survival and kind of the instinct to survive, right? But that doesn't mean that you have to stop someone else from surviving. That's abundance, right? When you think about, you know, I'm gonna survive, but it's okay if they survive too. Them winning does not mean I lose. It just means that there is a kind of an overflow of resources, you know what I mean? And if you can channel those resources in directions, you know what I mean, that's incredible and that's powerful, you know, to be able to give somebody else an opportunity to eat, you know, whether that's they're doing what they love or they have a meal on the table or whatever it is that they're receiving, you know. That feminine side, you know, that's the receptive, you know, being able to direct that, you know, resource is masculine, expressive, activating, all that kind of stuff, you know. And I think, again, that's why you need that balance. Even sometimes you see the imbalance where people don't even know how to receive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like people don't even know how to let somebody like make them feel appreciated or valued or loved, you know what I mean? Because they've always had to be the one that maybe like offers that. So then when they receive it, they're uncomfortable. They're like, oh, I've been there where it's like, I don't know how to receive compliment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole idea you don't know how to take a compliment. It's like somebody says, you look really nice. And you're like, oh no, this is, you know what I mean? To find every reason to be like, no, this isn't as nice as you said it is, despite the fact that you went out of your way to try to put it together or try to express that thing, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think that masculine ties into like just again like needing that like power over everything else, as you were saying, like that, not realizing the abundance.
Yeah.
And like the masculine is like always, the overly masculine is always trying to dominate and have power and have, you know, ego and bring someone down for their own benefit. And that's the toxic masculinity that we see, and that's what everyone is kind of calling out right now, and is a problem pretty objectively. But then there's the beautiful side of the masculine, which is like, you know, not necessarily like fighting, but like standing up for and having courage for whatever it is. Again, when we set that intention to be relentlessly positive and kind of hold that shield and that sword and be that warrior. That's what I think of when I think of like the beautiful aspects of the masculine. What do you think of when you think of like the beautiful aspects of the feminine and maybe the negative aspects of the feminine within your own life or just the world around you?
That's a great question, David Applebaum. Wow, that's a real thinker. I have never really sat with that and like meditated on it to see what I really think. I mean, I think that I tend to look at the beauty in both sides. I try not to focus and, you know, sit with the negative side of anything. You know what I mean? I can observe it without like sitting there and staring at it. It's like, okay, I see it. You know what I mean? I see, you know, I think when you think, I'll think about social media right now where I keep seeing this like soft life concept where it's like, love that. You know what I'm saying? Ease and not having to really work too hard. But then you have this aggressively like feminine way of just kind of like, I'm not doing anything. Everything's being done for me. You know what I mean? I'm sitting back and I'm kicking my feet up and it's almost like a sense of entitlement, and if you don't give me that, well, you're replaceable type of energy, right? To me, I think that's a negative, or I'll use the word negative, but that for lack of better phrasing or terminology.
You don't like to judge, same as
like,
me.
I don't want to. I'm not judging you for whatever you feel like you found, but it feels like an imbalance. You know,
it feels like taking, right?
It feels like all taking. That's what I meant a little bit ago when I said about you just kind of overly consume. You're not like the balance between when you consume, it's like you get what you give. That's masculine and feminine.
It's kind of forgetting about the oneness.
Yeah. And it's like because you have to understand that it's like, if you think about like the yin and yang, it's like they balance each other. I think the best word is balance. Like when you think about, you get what you give, you reap what you sow. Like there's no good or there's no life if you are only ever just giving without being able to receive. Because if you're always ever just giving and not receiving anything, you deplete yourself.
They're gonna die.
Literally. And if you only receive and never give, you're hoarding. You know what I mean? So then it's like there's no flow. It's constipation at that point. You know what I mean? You're taking in a lot, but you're never. Imagine you just eat a bunch of food and you never have to use you never use the bathroom. You just ate and ate and ate. And
we don't want to imagine that, folks.
Honestly, it's like you just drank all kinds of water, but nothing ever exits your body. You know what I mean? It all just kind of stays there. That's not flow, and that would be a health risk. You know what I mean? And I think life reflects itself all the time. You know, and I think when you think about something as simple as having to go to the bathroom or getting what you give, reaping what you sow, and all that kind of stuff, masculine and feminine, the two polarities, it's a lot of duality, and you need both sides. And I think it's unfair to expect imbalance to be accepted. You know, I'm the dominant male provider and I don't need anything from anybody, and I'm the soft life blah 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 who only ever receives and kind of sits in the sun all day. And it's like, we love sitting in the sun.
We don't love sitting in the sun, for the record. Turn off your camera.
You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Like, it's like you just want to bask and reap the benefits of, like, okay, we'll talk about us too. I'll use our names, right? So, like, I just kind of would sit and bask in the luxury of what David Applebaum produced. You know what I mean? You got out there, you got active, you made the things happen, and it's like, that's so great, David. Can I come to your house and just sit at your pool? I didn't earn any of what you have. You know what I mean? I didn't put in the work to enjoy the luxury of what you've created in your life. Mm-hmm. Expecting that from you is unfair. Just like, what's the opposite of that? You know what I mean? Like, whatever the opposite of that is, we'll say that's the imbalance.
Yeah.
I think, imbalance.
Yeah, for sure. No, I see exactly what you're saying. It's it goes back to the oneness of, like, I almost feel like oneness is like this belief that kind of got out there on the internet, and everyone's like, oh yeah, like, so true. But then, like, I feel like we don't realize how deep of a truth that truly is. Mm-hmm. Like, perhaps that is like the final realization, like, of consciousness. And then from there, like, everything perfectly exists in harmony. Because I feel like oneness leads to that harmony of that give and take. And, like, and that balance that we're speaking of. Because, like, truly, like, okay, we're out in the middle of a forest, right? And so if I move, I always talk about this, and I wonder if I'm crazy. But if I, if I, like, take this twig over here, take it off the tree, or actually, I'm not going to take it off the tree. I don't want to do that. But I move the twig already on the ground, and I move this twig, this twig on the ground right here, and I move it over here, right? That seems like a very insignificant action. Yeah. But at the same time, that twig is now 10 feet over there for everyone on the planet. Literally, everyone has that twig over there. So we are truly connected. Yeah. Just by, like, that thought experiment. Am I going crazy, or does that make sense?
It's no longer over there for me. You know what I mean? Because it's like you went and you did an action, and now you've changed something about the experience of this place.
Right.
You know, you took the twig, walked it 10 feet over there, but just because I'm my own individual doesn't mean that your action didn't affect my experience.
Right.
You know, I now no longer get to experience what it was like to have the twig over there. Should I have walked that path? You know?
Right. Yeah. And so I think that when we can realize that, and we can realize the oneness and the interconnectedness of all life, and the beauty of the polarity of the masculine and the feminine, and the beauty of the duality, then we can start to transcend it through realizing what is imbalanced.
Yeah. Imagine if we never had to go through that shift again where, you know, the masculine got toxic and now the feminine is fighting for it to be like, no, we need to be seen and heard and expressed and all the stuff, right? And then on the flip side, maybe the feminine got too consumptive, if that's a word.
Yeah.
And then the masculine had to come be like, no, you're doing a lot. You're taking too much and all the stuff, right? If you never had to have that switch, but there was just that balance of like the two sides of the same coin, just kind of everything and everyone moving in that harmony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be beautiful. And I feel like we would stop the quote, I guess they use the term like battle of the sexes, you know, conversation where it's like you have these two polarities kind of at odds all the time. But if you and I can both embody both masculine and feminine in the same kind of entity, whatever, I feel like that creates a really beautiful experience for whoever comes in contact with us, you know? Rather than having to be like, well, you're too bossy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you keep telling me what to do, or you're too expressive, or you're too, you know, you want to dominate everything. It's like being able to sit and hear and take in as well as express and speak and all the things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that comes from like the self-analysis where we have to be harsh on ourselves some of the time, because truly that is the most loving thing we can do. Like looks maxing, right, in our society, being like literally these people who are looks maxing, they think that, you know, that our presidents and our political candidates should be voted upon by who mogs the most or who looks the best.
That's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, literally, that's what.
I have not looked into looks maxing very much. I've heard of the concept, like I've heard of the quote practice, if you will, but I've never looked into it. All I know is what I've heard is that it's just essentially like trying to look the best you can. It's a very superficial, that's the word I'll use.
Yeah, and that's an imbalance of our, I would say perhaps the feminine, kind of coming back around here. Now we overbalanced on the masculine, and that's not to say I think we're still overbalanced on the masculine if we're talking about a scale here, but I think being so concerned with looks perhaps is more of a imbalance on the appearance and the feminine side of things versus like the actions, right? Like what does, you know, I don't care if they are an ogre, like, and agree, like, I don't care if we have Shrek in office.
Oh my God.
If Shrek is if Shrek is bringing us to the promised land, I'm
like, who cares what he looks like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would say this about looks maxing. I feel like looks maxing is and again, we've established, I feel like we don't have to keep apologizing for this because our intention is not judgment, right? But I feel like looks maxing is about insecurity. You know what I mean? Somebody looking at themselves in the mirror and not being happy about what they see compared to what? You know what I mean? Because it's like, what are you comparing yourself to? If you are looking in the mirror saying you need to, quote, looks max, you need to look better, or you need to like have, you know, the most chiseled jawline. It's like, so you've been looking at too many Guess ads. You know what I mean? You've been looking at so much content on social media with these kind of Adonis like men who have the perfect jawline, or quote perfect jawline, or they have the muscular bodies and they are 10% body fat. Those things create insecurities in people if people don't love themselves enough. It's like you are looking at yourself and judging yourself in comparison to another human being. There are a lot of variables that go into what people look like. It's genetics, it's your diet, it's how you take care of yourself and how you've taken care of yourself over the years. It's whatever, you know what I mean? There's a lot of factors that go into it. So when you think about people mogging or obsessively like gua shaing and like, you know, taking like hitting their faces to like create whatever, you know what I mean? I think somebody was telling me the other day about, they were watching a video and somebody was like taking this like chisel thing.
Bone smashing. Yeah, they take the hammer on the.
Does that not sound like lunatic behavior?
It's no, it's complete lunacy.
Like, are you okay?
Yeah, and to go off what you just said, clavicular. We love you, clavicular. I love everyone. I have harbor no hatred.
I've only heard the name. I don't know who that is. Never seen his face.
Well, he's got a face of bone smashing, but we all have faces. And the point that I'm about to make to clavicular here and to the world watching this is that clavicular himself, I saw a recent, and by the way, I recently took on my all my social media, I did a muted word of looks maxing and clavicular. Like I need to
like,
not
I don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, I need to not see this on my timeline anymore. It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
But before I did that, I think this was like one of the last things I saw was clavicular, like doing a stream, and he's just like looking at his, you know, on his computer in his apartment. He just got a nose job, and he's like, he's just like got this big nose cast, and he's just like looking on his computer on social media, and he's like, oh, like if I could doom scroll all day, that would be like the ideal life. I'm just like constantly doom scrolling like that. That's like heaven to me. Like just doom scrolling and looking on the internet all day. And I'm like, wait a second. That's
a real human being.
That's how you got to this.
Yeah. That
I put the two together. I'm like, social media made you. And that's why looks maxing is being so heavily accepted, is because social media is pushing onto us the ideal at all times of a fake ideal, which isn't even a real ideal, because the real ideal, in my opinion, is the purity of yourself. And the purity of yourself is, in my opinion, this divine thing that is connected to a greater divinity, which has nothing to do and is loved no matter what, has nothing to do with your looks. And frankly, I don't even know if it has anything to do with your actions. Although I would say that the judgment that we go through in life to figure out right from wrong, oh, I should rob a bank, or I shouldn't rob a bank, or I should tell my mom I love her on Mother's Day, or I shouldn't tell my mom I love her on Mother's Day because she really upset me the other day. I think that judgment is kind of like our school and our lesson and our training wheel, so to speak, of our soul. But yeah, I back to looks maxing. I just think that like it's a result of a misprioritization. Which, by the way, misprioritization, I don't think that's even a word.
It is now.
Because every time I try to spell misprioritization in Microsoft Word, because I use that word a lot, it gives me the red squigglies. I'm like, bro.
But the thing is, guess what? We made up the human language. You know what I mean? So if we decide that we want to say misprioritization, Google, the bots, whatever that we created, can, you know, go take a hike, bro.
But like, how is that not a word? You know what I mean?
I'm going to use it as well, just so we make it happen. Just like trying to make fetch happen. Sorry, that was a Mean Girls reference, and maybe not everybody knows
yeah,
Mean Girls
I've not
reference.
seen Mean Girls.
You haven't seen Mean Girls?
I haven't seen a lot of movies. You'd be surprised. I haven't seen like a lot of classic movies. That's why I'm trying to get together for another movie night very soon, because that was a lot of fun when we did that.
That was another Bond film, or Mean Girls, because that's a cultural staple. You know what I mean?
The fact that I haven't seen Mean Girls is like, I almost like need to have not said that just now.
That was Lindsay Lohan at a peak moment in her career. Not to say that she can't have other peaks, but that was such, like, I saw that in the theater. It was crazy. Such a good movie. Laughter across the whole room. But I want to go back real quick to looks maxing. Okay.
Okay, Lindsay.
Truly. I think, like, it's a misprioritization of self. It's a misprioritization of what matters. The thing that matters the most is true peace of mind. You know, if you can be at peace with who you are as a human being, the way you look, the size of your nose, the size of your lips, the shape of your body, whatever, nothing and no one can tell you that you are inadequate. You know what I mean? Somebody who's obsessed with looks maxing, it's like you believe the hype that your nose is too big. You know, I remember seeing a little clip from that Michael Jackson movie recently, and they kind of touched on it slightly, like his whole like nose transformation in his life, how when he was a kid and when he was a young man, he had like a thicker nose, thicker nostrils, a lot like mine, you know, and he was insecure about that. But in that insecurity, it made him he went and got a nose job. He started to, you know, look at himself and be like, you know, he wanted to fit into a certain bubble and be accepted into that bubble. And so because of that, he went and started chipping away at his face. You know what I mean?
Didn't he get like multiple nose surgeries?
A lot. If you take the time to go look at like him when he was 20 years old, when he was a teenager versus who he was as a 50-year-old man. I mean, at this point, he has no nose. It's like he has something keeping his skin propped up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just got to the point where that was all out of insecurity. And you think about it, when you think about looks maxing and the things that people are doing to their bodies and their faces, rather than just accepting who they are, they would rather go chip away at their noses. You know?
I think that's even more than an insecurity. I think that's a tragedy.
Yeah. Because you don't love it. You don't love yourself. You love an image that you want to try to embody, whether that's something that suits you or not. You know, now I won't say that getting some kind of cosmetic thing done is some like evil, you know, heinous crime, you know, but why are you doing it?
Yeah. And neither is going to the gym, getting bigger muscles,
if you want to go
gua shaing your face.
Right. Health, wellness, taking care of your body. A lot of times gua sha is to remove like toxins and things.
The
and
lymph
so, like,
from the,
lymph and all. Yes. And so it's like there are aspects to it that's like, it depends on your intention. You know what I mean? Like how what we're talking about, we're not speaking from a place of judgment. It's just observation. It's like, I'm not going to sit back and watch you hate yourself and be like, well, but that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's cool. You hate yourself. And you're going to, you know, hammer away at your face or go spend tens of thousands of dollars reconstructing your face. You know, think about it like this, or at least this is how I think about it. I am my mother. Respectfully, I am me. But I am an extension of my mother, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather. What I am and what I have is an extension of them. And so if you hate yourself and but you're hating what they gave you.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Man, that was deep.
You're hating what they passed on to you. If you hate your skin complexion, if you hate your shapes and sizes, you're spitting in the face of all the people that passed those things down to you.
That gave you life.
That gave you life. You wouldn't be here if those people didn't come together to pass you what you have, you know? And so I think that when you think of something like looks maxing and it's like not telling people to like love themselves, it's like you need to have a bigger chest or your bone structure needs to be different. That's my grandfather's bone structure and I love my grandpa, so I would rather have his bone structure than some random man I've never met on the internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. And if you think even more deeply about what all of our ancestors had to go through and you kind of really think about that, like, and you know, that's obviously a deeply personal thing, but it's really you just have to be in awe of that, and you have to love that, and you have to just be thankful and grateful instead of looking at it. Goes back to just kind of being relentlessly positive.
Truly.
And I think that, like, that's why I said it was be like the number one advice I would give, like my younger self or like anyone right now is just like, we live in a world, especially with social media, where there's so much negativity. The news, especially propping up fear all day long, negativity. It's like
this fear mongering.
It's like our brains are already negative enough from an evolutionary perspective. We have to make sure that like there's not a tiger behind here, you know, like we're already got that negative lens, And so I think we need to be relentlessly positive to reprogram our minds and so I would encourage anyone out there, if they're like looking in the mirror and being like considering surgery, and like there's also some surgeries out there that, like, I got deviated septum surgery to fix my breathing issue with my nose, because breathing out of your nose is an important thing.
Yeah.
It's not about necessarily looking better.
Yeah.
Although if, you can get that all done in one surgery and that, helps you breathe better, like, more power to you.
Right. Be healthy. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
right. Like, health over looks.
Right.
And I think even more so over all that is peace.
Yeah.
As you said.
Peace. I feel like that's a beautiful way forward. That's a beautiful way to keep growing, is when you just can find peace, and not like, I'm a POS, and so, but I'm at peace with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, okay, well, if you're rude to people, or like, just kind of like, as long as you're not harming anybody, I say be at peace with who you are and the way you show up in the world. I feel like that's one of my guiding principles, is harm none. And whatever I'm doing that's harming no one, I feel like I settle into that. I'm at peace with that,
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that's why we kind of resonate with each other.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I struggle with this myself, and I have like a spiritual mentor, a couple of them who I talk to, but I haven't really, I'm kind of procrastinating this talk with them, but about like the harm none philosophy. It's like, and it really makes you like really step back for a second and really be like, okay, what, and you can kind of see how kind of religion started up when you ask this question. It's like harm none, but it seems like I'm kind of a hypocrite in my own life about that. And I think this is a very important thing we all need to self-examine, is like figure out where you're a hypocrite. I love that concept of figuring out where you're hypocritical. And one place that I feel hypocritical right now, and I'm still trying to walk through and think through, is, these berries, they grow on the tree here. And I want to harm nothing, or none. So perhaps all I'm meant to do is eat these berries. And perhaps I'm not meant to eat animals, because when I think about animals, I think about something that has a soul. I look into its eyes. A lot of people can relate to having pets and having a deep spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when my dog Scooter passed away. He was 17 years old. He was with me my whole upbringing, and when he went away, it was like I lost a part of me.
Yep.
Like, I lost part of my spirit, and it was very ritualistic for me. Like, I wrote a lot at that time, and I wrote how, like, I'm going to reconnect with spirit, or Scooter's spirit, and how I'm going to see him later, because he was like basically my best friend. He was always there with me, and he's just this little white dog. He's just like a little Maltese, like but he had this soul, and this spirit that I connected with. And then I think about when I eat meat, which I do 5-6 days a week. So I wonder about that and how that plays into the world that we live in, and is there karma there that I'm accumulating? Should I become vegan? But then this is just the nature of life, and maybe I'm just too attached to this life experience, and maybe there is this like true, like actual spiritual realm of spirits that like reincarnate, and that's much more the truth. And that's why the religions symbolize the cow as the holy animal, as it's this thing that kind of goes into the next life and gives us. I know that was a really deep question, but something I've been thinking about a lot.
Absolutely. Okay. Let me see. How do I feel about it? No, it's okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thought-provoking question. I don't know. I mean, I think if, like, going back to the peace conversation, where it's like if there's something that's causing you like a dis-ease or like an uneasiness, I mean, I feel like it's important to examine that. Like, look at where you're being hypocritical and see if that's something. It's like, okay, do I need to maybe change how I do things? Because if there was this there's this animal that meant so much to you, and you relate that to animals at large. You know what I mean? You think about every animal in the world in that same way, in the way that they deserve to be cared for. If consuming them for nutrients or sustenance doesn't sit well with you, honor the love that you had for your pet and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna stop doing that or do that less. You know, I have never thought about that personally. In the last, I want to say last year or so, somewhere in the last year, me and my family, we had a cat he was 18 when we had to let him go. I've certainly appreciated moments where I didn't consume meat or animal products, but it never felt like a moral debate. You know, I never felt like I was doing something wrong or harming anything or harming anyone by consuming that, you know. But again, if it's something that feels uneasy within you, it's like, maybe honor that, or maybe try to have less of that thing, you know.
Yeah, I just wonder about the true nature of the animals that we end up taking their lives for our consumption.
I do understand what you're saying, what you're getting at in terms of like the kind of the karma of it all.
Where do they go?
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What's happening here? It's like, am I consuming a life? You know what I mean? Like, am I taking a life, or am I somehow, is this unethical, or like, is this something that
at
I
least
should
we're
consider?
thinking about it? You know, I feel like at least I'm thinking about it. That makes me have a little bit of peace. Like if you think about like 1,000 years ago when we, found a bison or whatever elk, cow, and we killed it and we ate it, it was probably very much of a ritual. Versus today when we go through the drive-thru and we get the burger, that's just like we're not even thinking about anything. We're just thinking about
just eating the food.
So I think that becoming conscious of it is at least a good step for
mindfulness,
my own peace. But yeah, it really makes me wonder, like, how it makes me wonder a lot about like investigating also like health. And I think that like if we can imagine a world where we could figure out how to have the perfect diet from a macronutrient perspective. Once we figured out what that was, I don't even think we know what that is at this point. I think we're still debating it.
But I think it's hard to like land on that if everybody needs their own thing.
And everyone's individual.
Yeah.
Right.
What one person needs versus what another person needs. We have different body types, different biological makeup, you know what I mean, that requires certain things. Like somebody might be, like for me, I have like psoriasis prone skin, right? And so it's like a inflammatory issue. You might not have any inflammatory issues in your body where it shows up like on your skin as like wounds or what have you, but there are things that I have to avoid because of the way I am built, you know? And so it's like trying to find the ideal diet, like generalizing all of humanity that's hard to do, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody needs a tweak of their own. That's
very smart. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I'm just wondering more from a perspective. I wonder if we can get to a place where we can replicate the nutrients we get from animals, fish, cows, without killing them.
Yeah.
I wonder. But then we see in nature all the time, the animals kill each other. So it's like, is this just something we have to accept?
Yeah. That's so real because I mean, look, I've been a fan of like the animal kingdom like content where it's like you're watching cheetahs hunt. You know what I mean? Like I love that kind of stuff. Like, but yeah, that's the truth. I mean, you see animals going after each other. They consume each other. You know, frogs consume flies. Lions consume elk. You know what I mean?
And who are we to say we know better than them?
You know what I mean? They're just as part of nature as we are, and they are doing the same thing there. But you have giraffes who they're not eating lions. You know what I mean? Like they're not eating other animals. They are eating of the vegetation of the world. You know what I mean? that's just within their diet and what they need for their own bodies. They maybe it wouldn't serve them to go eat a zebra. You know what I mean? In the same way that a lion isn't going to maybe sit and eat a bowl of berries.
Yeah.
You know, that's not its nature. Its nature is to go and hunt. It eats meat.
Yeah.
You know, it's a meat eater.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the giraffe would certainly have to crane its neck quite a bit down
To get the zebra. It's like, it's going to take a while to get to the food. But I agree that it's worth having conversations. You know what I mean? I think it's worth having conversations because you don't know until you know. And sometimes being able to sit down and talk about it is what helps us realize the thing. You know? But then also understanding that things shift and things change. And that's the beauty of life, I think, is that things shift and things change. What is the quote? It's like the only permanent thing in life is change.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever the same. You know what I mean? Like the way we eat now might need to change because it might, based on how we evolve, cause some other issues down the line.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. I was at this massage the other day and there was a art on the wall, like a painting. One of those like kind of bland ones they put in like the middle of a, whatever, a public place like that, and a public service place like that. And it said, change is good for the soul. And then I looked at it and I was like, that might be one of those like things I've seen on like a painting or like a wall, and I like don't necessarily agree. And like
It's like, okay, sure.
like I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree much more with like change is the constant.
Yeah.
Because like change is good for the soul. There's a lot of things that we've changed about our lives, and it goes back to like that judgment and just figuring out what is actually good, what is actually bad.
Yeah.
And the change is going to be constant, but what, like we've changed as a society. We've over emasculated the masculine in our society to a point where we've valued power at all costs without examining the deeper beauty within. And we've made being macho at all costs instead of examining the beauty within, the vulnerability of telling the truth. And so that change, and maybe that is good for the soul in the sense where now we recognize that, and now we're able to change again.
Yeah, and the challenge of that change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think to move away from something that's so deeply rooted in a culture, it challenges the people to see things differently and change your perspective and but the thing is, what you see when you have like the conflict in that change or the kind of the resistance in that change is like now you're having to like uproot all those habits that those roots created. You know what I mean? It's like you're having to let go of old ways. You're having to relearn. You're having to, one of the phrases that people like to use nowadays is reparent yourself and like, be like, okay, that's not good. I can't do that anymore. I shouldn't do that anymore. Because you can continue down whatever path you want to continue down, but how does that serve you and the life experience that you're trying to cultivate, and who that affects?
Yeah.
I think that change is good for the soul, I guess. Hearing those quotes is like, okay, sure, why not? It's not something I'm against, but I think change happens at its own rate. It happens naturally. Just kind of let it occur.
Yeah.
Let life be what life is. But it makes me think about what I said earlier, and that maybe is I'm wondering if it's a like hypocritical way that I'm having to see about myself, because earlier in our conversation I said that I'm very intentional. You know what I mean? But then to say that you just kind of have to let life happen. It just kind of happens that way. I wrestle with those two things.
Dude, that's the paradox.
I wrestle with those two things, like being able to be intentional and kind of wanting to be intentional about things, but then also understanding that life just happens the way it happens. I can't control the outcome, but I can try to affect the outcome.
It's like, I I saw David Guillaume say this. I sent you a David Guillaume video the other week. I love David Guillaume. He's a really awesome guy who talks about Kabbalism, the Kabbalah, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he's got great content. He talks about putting maximum effort, but then realizing at the end of the day, you have no control. So that's the paradox. You put in maximum control to try to control the effort, but then leaving it up to faith.
Yeah. Like I think the only thing you have control over is yourself. Is how you show up, whether or not you show up, and accepting that causes a ripple. You know what I mean? And whatever that draws in or pushes away is something that you kind of have to allow everything to kind of not dictate, but orchestrate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, it's easier to say than accept always, but nowadays in my life, it's easier to accept than ever before. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Orchestrate. I think it kind of goes to something I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is like detachment to outcomes while putting in 100% effort, but like at the same time just being like, and not only detachment to outcomes, but like detachment to this experience, I think brings me peace. And that's going to sound kind of sad, but it's not meant to be sad. It's just meant to be like, I feel like the more detached I become from, I'm David Applebaum, I have this body, I'm just flesh and bones, I'm going to die. And I become detached in the sense where that's actually not my truth. My truth is that there's a higher spirituality at play here that I'm going to basically ascend into through my experience here. That I'm a spirit, that I am a part of this earth, but not of this earth. And that's what I mean by detachment. I think just allows me to be more playful and joyful here while I'm here, because I think when everything is so like to the ground and like flesh and bones and meat and, all that, I think it just gets a little too serious and a little too like you're just negative. You just see a lot more problems, I think, that way.
Okay.
Versus this is just something that I've been working on personally, versus just like being like, okay, like I'm detaching from David Applebaum needing to be this perfect person, and just allowing life to orchestrate itself.
Okay.
And like, because like, okay, what I'm trying to say is we're all attached to outcomes, right? Like you want to get in your car and you want it to go from A to B.
A to B, yeah.
But what happens if you get in your car and you go into a ditch? Right?
Yeah, honestly.
And then something, from there.
I hope not.
Right. But eventually we're all going to get into our car and it's going to go from A to the ditch. And I mean that in a metaphorical way. Eventually life is going to take us. And I just think detaching from this a little bit, almost experiencing that death a little bit, has been something I've been processing a lot recently. Because I'm already 33, man. Like I feel like, who knows what point I'm at in my life, I could be at the 30% mark. I could be and maybe I'll live forever. That could also be an outcome. Some people are trying to do that. Would I want to do that? Maybe. I haven't thought about it, but,
Like year 23, 26.
yeah, right. But yeah, I just, I just am trying to embody that. I know that was really deep and potentially a little sad, but
Nope. I think I understand what you're saying. Like, in the words of Hannah Montana, life's
you want some of this water, by the way?
No, I'm okay. Thank
Sure.
you. Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Life's what you make it, so let's make it rock. You know what I mean? I think you don't know how long you're here. Nobody, like, I could be 90% of the way through my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could be 90 something percent, and then on my way home today, that's the end of my life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? My last thing I ever did was have a conversation with David Applebaum. You know, and I accept that.
Everyone's worst nightmare.
Not at all. And I mean, I accept that wherever I am, you know, whether this is 99% or if this is 10% of my life, I accept where I'm at, you know. But what I want to make sure that I do is make the most of my life and get to experience everything that this has to offer. Something as simple as like being grateful about being able to sit outside and get sunlight and have a good conversation and just hear the world around you, you know what I mean? And then have the freedom to go and make sure I get some food later and have a bottle of water and a tea, you know, and make the most of whatever my time here looks like. Love as hard as I can, love as deeply as I can, experience as purely and intimately as I can, and appreciate it all rather than feel like it's something that I will lose at some point. It's something that I will have had and something that I will have gotten to experience, and however much of it I get to experience, I'm grateful for it. You know?
Yeah.
Gratitude is such a powerful thing in terms of the way we live our lives. It changes the way you move through the world. If you're always kind of thinking about, well, I'm gonna die someday, in a way that is like you're losing your life, versus I'm gonna die someday and I'll reach the end of my life at some point. Does that make sense? It's no longer about losing your life. It becomes about completing your life. Like I've gotten to the end of my life. I've done this, and now whatever happens beyond it, whether I come back or I move on to whatever is beyond this kind of vibration, so be it. You know, but it's gonna be great either way.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been was trying to say. You're putting your words together better than I am. I feel like it's the greatness of that detachment that comes with just realizing, like, whatever happens, it's all going to be great, and it's all, you know, it's only so much in my control.
Truly, it's like I didn't build this. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of I came here. You know what I mean? I came here to, like, it's almost like I think about it like an amusement park sometimes. It's like I came to Valley Fair. I came to see what's going on here, all the good food, all the roller coasters and the rides and things like that. Point A to point B's and things like that. I'll have my experience, but eventually leave Valley Fair.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to try the cotton candy. I'm going to try this game. I'm going to try that game. I'm going to try to win that game.
Absolutely. I want the stuffed animal.
Yeah,
I want the biggest stuffed animal, too.
Yeah,
I don't want, like, Pikachu's great, but I want...
the Raichu.
Yeah, truly. Like, my sister, I remember when we were younger, she went to the state fair, and she got this massive, like, pink gorilla. It was bigger than both of us. And, like, it was bigger than... I've been at least 5'8" since I was 12. And so, like... But, like, being able to sit in it, you could cuddle in it, and it was just huge. And so I'm like, yeah, I want that one. I mean, if I get Pikachu, I'll be grateful for Pikachu. But you aim for the stars, and then wherever you land is where you land.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And it's like, if you want to have this, like, incredible meal, but you get, like, okay, it's good, but I wish I could have did better. At least you tried. You made the effort, and you learn along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You're making me want to go to Valley Fair.
Get on the wild things. What are they? Steel Venom.
Yeah.
Dude, that one's absurd.
Do you go on roller coasters?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I've had some pretty gnarly experiences on roller coasters. Specifically, the last time I was at Valley Fair was why I never went back to Valley Fair. And so there's this ride, I forget what it's called, but it's a water ride. So you're in this thing and it's flipping you around. And it's like just flipping you upside down, like flipping you around, and it kind of plays with you. It shoots water up in the air.
Is it a roller coaster or a water slide?
It's not. It's I want to call it a roller coaster in comparison to like a water slide. You're not sliding on it. You're locked in like you would on like the Power Tower.
Okay.
You have the harness on. Your seatbelt is on.
You're kind of getting sprayed.
You're getting sprayed. You're getting flung around and things like that. But at the end of it, they're kind of like dipping you into this fountain, and they're only supposed to be teasing you that the water is like right in front of your face. It just so happens that the water wasn't just like right in front of my face. They're moving you down. They're descending you slowly. So you're like face down, face first, and the water's shooting up close to your face. I was being waterboarded for 10 to 15 seconds.
What?
And I couldn't breathe. And like the way that like, because the harness is like there to secure your head as well, so you're not like thrashing too much, I couldn't turn my head in any direction to get my face away from the water stream. And so that was traumatizing. I was being waterboarded, and as soon as I came out from under, I was like, I'm never getting on a roller coaster ever again in my life. Is not a water ride.
Is that a new ride?
No. It's been there for as long as I've been going to Valley Fair, but I haven't been back since. And
Change is good for the soul, Valley Fair. Change is good for the soul.
I'm saying. And the fact that like that level of trauma, it's almost like I thought I was gonna drown, because like everybody next to me is just fine. It's not hitting, at least to my understanding, it wasn't hitting anybody else in the face.
Yeah.
It was certainly hitting me in the face.
Wow. Maybe you just had a bad spot, but still, that's crazy. Yeah, I do not go on roller coasters at all. Yeah. I've been on a few. I went on Steel Venom.
Okay.
You went on Steel Venom, right?
Absolutely. Never. I had poor experiences there as well.
God, Steel Venom, that is like, man, I remember I went in like 3rd or 4th grade. I went with like, a few of the cool kids, so to speak, in my class. And I was like, oh, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. When I got there, I was like, oh, God, I'm with the cool kids. This is how a 9-year-old thinks, a 10-year-old thinks. Yeah. My kids are not going to think like this.
Thank you guys.
But like, I was like 9 or 10, and I was like, oh, God, I'm with the cool kids. I'm going to have to go on these rides that they want to go on. Yeah. I'm not going to be like...
no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Like, you want to be a part of the, part of the game.
But this is how, like, kind of already, like, against the grain I kind of just naturally am wired to be, is that I went on Steel Venom, but then when they wanted to go on Wild Thing, I was like, no.
Absolutely not. That's crazy.
That is...
I mean, it's a really, like, Wild Thing is aggressive. That hill is so steep, and, like, it's a short ride, but it's intense.
I'm all about going to the fair and to Valley Fair and things like that, but I'm a water ride kind of guy in the summer. Give me on the not the water ride you were on, but on the water slide.
Yeah, absolutely.
Water slide.
The slides.
And then the lazy river, and then let's play some games. Let's try to win the pink gorilla or whatever we're trying to win.
Absolutely.
And then like the food.
Yes,
I'm all about the food.
I'm usually eating from the time I get there until I leave. Not anything massive, like I'm snacking on something the entire time.
Yeah.
I might have the Dippin' Dots. I'll get the elephant ear, or the mini donuts are my thing. Like, I love a mini donut.
Same.
Fresh from the, just warm. It's so good. But water rides, I will definitely do a water ride. I can't be harnessed in. That's the one thing I will not do. You can't harness me into the water ride, because if the water's being sprayed or shot at me, I'm not gonna deal with that, dude. Like, no, thank you.
That is ridiculous.
Like, and I don't think I said anything to anyone outside of like the people that were with me, but I was like, somebody needs to know about this.
You need to file a legitimate claim.
Truly, like, I was waterboarded. I was almost drowned. Imagine if I had drowned on that ride, and like they just like stopped the ride and ended like, and there's this one guy not getting up, like, oh my God, is he okay? No, he was drowned by your ride, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing about these rides, is like people do, unfortunately, very tragically, occasionally,
some of those rides are crazy,
die on these rides. And that for me, it's like, okay, yeah, I could get a thrill from these rides, but like, do I want to be the guy who goes on the ride and is like stuck or like whatever? Like, no, it's not worth it.
Oh, no, thank you.
Just let me, like, I mean, okay, there are like a couple roller coasters I'll go on, like the kind of like the smaller, like medium size. Like, if it's like a 5 out of 10, like you could potentially find me on that roller coaster.
Get on like a bumper car.
Yeah, bumper car. I'm going on the bumper car. There's this great ride at the State Fair, Minnesota State Fair, called the Tornado. Have you been on it?
Yep. Yep.
It's like a 2 out of 10 in terms of like
truly.
scariness.
It's like, but I'm gonna get some kind of thrill. It's gonna be some level of thrill. I'll get on that, and then I'll get on like the spaceship one where it's like it just spins really fast, and you're kind of like feeling gravity like inside of the machine. It's like, because I can't get flung around in here. It's mostly just like pinning me to the to the wall because it's spinning so fast. But the way I was as a kid, I was in there trying to get up and walk around, like in like increased gravity.
Yeah.
Like, because why? But being a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those are those moments. Those are things, you go and you enjoy them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You go, you enjoy them. You get on the roller coaster. You eat the cotton candy. You do all the things, and you make the most of your experience. It's gonna come with some scary moments where you're like, I may never do that again. But those are your lessons. You know what I mean? The things you learn to look for. You know what I mean? Along the way, I think it didn't stop me from getting on any amusement park ride, but I'll be thoughtful about like which one I'm getting on for sure.
Yeah, and isn't that like such a metaphor for life?
Yeah, truly.
And what we were just all kind of talking about is like the judgment that we develop in this school of life.
Yeah, it's very, very much a lot of lessons. You bump your head once, hopefully you don't have to bump it twice.
Yeah.
You don't have to put your hand in fire to know not to get burned. One of my favorite things that I learned, I grew up Christian. I feel like we talked about this a bit in our first episode we did together, where I talked about learning from the mistakes of others. Mm-hmm. You learn that in like kind of from the Bible. It's like a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. You don't have to put your hand on the stove top to know that it can burn you. Somebody else has gotten burned before, so listen to wisdom rather than having to go do it yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like that saves you from a lot of like bitterness or like heavy-heartedness around things, because you were able to see, my mom told me not to do X, Y, and Z because she experienced it. Because I listened to her, I didn't have to experience that same heartbreak or that same disappointment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the value of books, I think.
Yeah, and it's truly David Bayer.
Yeah. I love reading books because of that exact thing. And I think that's also the value of the education system. Like, if we can really enhance our education system to be less about like, okay, the numbers, the specific topics, and more about like, okay, like, it's almost like, how do we become more spiritual without religion? Because I feel like religion has so many like beautiful aspects to it, like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and like I've mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I think I have. I've mentioned this on my podcast quite a bit, but I'm literally reaching out to rabbis right now and pastors. Like, I'm scheduling interviews where we're going to do the Understanding Religion series on the Applebaum incident, because I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
But I think that it has so many beautiful aspects to it. But the problem is, I think that like, as soon as you throw in the word religion, here's the religion.
Yeah.
Then it's everyone starts to get like a little like uneasy, defensive. Yeah. Like, even like that other week we were at dinner, I kind of just like by happenstance brought up God, and I could already sense, I was like, oh God.
Like people tensing up.
Yeah, everyone was kind of like tensing up, like, dude, not now.
But I feel like that's not something, I don't shy away from that, and I don't know that it's something that has to be shied away from. I think religion, and specifically those who have kind of been the stewards of religion, and have led religion forward, are kind of a lot of the reason why people maybe have an uneasiness around it. You mention God and people are kind of like, oh God, okay, well, no. You know what I mean? Because everything about it, or the loudest part of it, I think, has been, the sins and not wanting to be the eternal damnation or what have you. And people just get uneasy about it because they don't want to feel, it's been oppressive at times, and people kind of want to just be able to live and not feel like they have to second guess everything that they're doing. So I understand why some people get uneasy about it. Yeah,
I understand why some people get uneasy about it. So it's like the question becomes, how do we like take the good from it though and implement it in education? Because a lot of people, I don't know if people realize this, but like a lot of people, first of all, don't grow up with like good parents. And then they don't grow up also with any form of religious background. And then they're thrown into school where all they're learning basically in their life is math,
Industrial.
math, science, and history,
Yeah.
and maybe a health class, maybe a gym class, but there's no context about these greater, deeper values that of like the purpose of being a good person and the reason of helping others and the deeper wisdoms of just the inherent spirituality of life. And I think that we can easily separate those things from religion. And I think that we can and should implement a lot of more nuanced and just like regulating, self-check-in, self-love, emotional understanding, emotional regulation, nature, nurture, love,
Truly. I agree.
happiness, joy. Think about all the topics we don't cover in school.
Honestly, I never touch on any of those things. I definitely agree. A lot of it's very like how you survive the economy. You know what I mean? A lot of what you learn in school, at least what I learned in school, was like how do you kind of survive the economy of the time, you know? So, I mean, thinking about like when you like how people are educated nowadays, I'd be interested to go back to my high school and see like what classes are available outside of like reading, writing, and math and history and all that kind of stuff. Like, what are the electives that people can go and take? Because I remember when I was in school, people weren't even writing checks anymore, but we were being taught how to like write checks, not how to like balance a bank account or like how to balance your finances or anything like that. It was like, here's how you write a check. You know what I mean? It's like, people don't use those anymore. Why are we still learning how to write these things?
Yeah.
And so I just think you update education based on the world that you live in. But then again, it'd be like school's always changing. But then it's also like nobody would ever really learn the same set of things, because if everything's always changing and you update education based on where we are now, it's like my kids helping them with homework probably becomes impossible, because it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, what math? That doesn't sound like math. That sounds like a physics equation. Like, I don't know what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I think that there's like this omnipresent part of us that is I don't want to say permanent, but is inherent within us, that is very useful in building beauty in our lives and in other people's lives. And so what is that? How can we educate ourselves on that? And how can we do so without excluding people and making people, not want to participate in it, which I think religion has done in a lot of ways. It's, it's created these divisions. It's created this form of people just wanting to be a part of whatever group they want to be a part of, instead of realizing, okay, what is this actually all about? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I want to uncover in talking to, these people. So what do you think of religion yourself? Because you grew up, what religion exactly?
Christianity specifically, non-denominational, which is a denomination in and of itself.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. So, yeah. Do you like overall? You have like positives, negatives. Are you leaning one side or the other? Is it completely 100% positive? Is it completely 100% negative?
No. 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 I don't really sit anywhere with it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have any problem with it.
Do you consider yourself still?
What what I had a problem with, and as I've sat with it, like as an adult in my experiences, I think it's been like a lot of the issues that I had with the church were the people. It had nothing to do with the religion itself. There were things that in the kind of what they teach you that I don't agree with, you know? Some very oppressive, very stifling and like belittling things that aren't necessarily my highlights, but they're just there are things that I say no, I don't sit with that. That's not something that I will ever give energy to. But I look at religion nowadays as something that I sit outside of. I'm not a part of any religion. I'm not Christian, I'm not Buddhist, I'm not Hindu or anything like that, but I take from all of them. I take from the good of all of them. Whatever kind of ethic or value or something that it presents to me, if I agree with it or I think that it serves me and my people well, I'll take from it, and it doesn't have to, I'm not exclusive to anything. I am myself. I don't identify as any of that. I'll accept things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes we can use that as like I like the idea of I am my own anchor. I think for a lot of people, their religion is their anchor. It's kind of what helps them be, quote, good in the world. It helps them have like a moral compass or a sense of ethics to follow or abide by. I don't need any of that personally to be what I think is good in the world. Like going back to what I was talking about, like I think I'm a great person. I think I'm a great guy. I don't think that I'm not a cruel man. You know what I mean? I'm not I don't need to be this domineering force in my social groups. You know, I don't need to be the loudest one in the room or the one with the most anything. You know what I mean? But I think I'm a good guy, you know, and that's what matters to me. If I feel good in and of myself in the way I move through the world, I don't question the choices that I make.
Yeah, for sure.
The way I treat people. I don't usually walk away from like a conversation with David Applebaum and be like, was I rude? You know what I mean? Because I trust myself. You know, I trust that I was intentional enough to like not be cruel to you or be rude or kind of be intrusive.
You're very intentional.
Yeah.
It's like, it kind of goes back to the scale thing. It's like, if you go to rob a bank, you don't need to go to church the next day and be like, Pastor, should I have done that or should I not?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, literally.
it's like, you don't need to step on the scale of your morality. And I don't think, I would posit, I don't think anyone needs to step on the scale of their morality in the form of a religion. And that's just what I'm open to changing that. Maybe after I talk
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Maybe after I talk to a bunch of people, which I plan to do, who are very deeply religious and know a lot about their religions, and I learn a lot about religions, maybe I will become a Muslim. Maybe I will become a Catholic. Maybe I will become Jewish, as I was kind of raised to be. But I don't know enough about it at this point to choose. But what I do believe and think with almost every fiber of my being, and would be very hard-pressed to be convinced otherwise, would be that we all have an inner moral compass that is our spirit. That is the purity of ourselves. That is the light within ourselves. You can call it a soul. You can call it a spirit. You can call it yourself, who you are. And I think we become out of touch with that when we are hurt, when we are deeply hurt. And then that can look like wanting to inflict pain on other people. That can look like revenge. That can look like just hating ourselves. That can look like delusion. That can look like thinking there's all these things wrong with us that we need to fix, our nose a million times, that we're not good enough. And a lot of that comes from, I think, this lack of love that we have in our world, this division that we have in our world, this hatred that we have in our world, this negativity that we have in our world. And that's why I really believe in unconditional love and relentless positivity. Once we are healed and once we set our intentions to kind of go from there, and then when we are in that place of groundedness, of healed, of wholeness within us ourselves, then we are intentional, and we know where our intentions are. I always said, like, I think there's only one dumb question, I think, in the universe of thoughts.
Okay.
The only dumb question is, are my intentions good?
Interesting. Why?
Because I think it, again, and I don't think it's inherently dumb. I don't think it's stupid. What I'm saying is that when you're asking that question, you are out of touch with yourself. And so you get to that place through being completely lost. Like, if you need a religion to tell you that you shouldn't rob a bank, or that you shouldn't slice someone's head off, or, do something crazy to another, horribly harm another human being. I was just, sorry, that came off really aggressively, but I was trying to think, like, what could be the worst thing I could do to someone right now?
Truly.
Take someone's life.
Yeah.
I would really push back on the fact that you need a book for that. And I would instead realize that there is a light within us all from whatever created us that is inherent, that we are either in touch with or we are out of touch with. And when we are out of touch with it, we are lost. And when we are lost, we are taking incorrect actions. And so therefore it's quote unquote dumb. It's not actually dumb. I don't actually believe in stupidity. That was what my actual last podcast was all about. Episode 29 is stupidity is a fallacy, projected fallacy. And what I mean by that is I think that there's beauty in all humans. And the only thing that is actually stupid that we can do is, again, comes back to oneness.
Yeah.
The only thing that is stupid, I think, that we can do is to be in disillusion with the oneness, to think that our actions, our highest actions for ourselves and others, are not to uplift and to be positive and to be light. That is the only definition of stupidity. Because if we're talking about intelligence, there's, in my opinion, billions of forms of intelligence.
Truly.
I think that, like, psychology, I think that great philosophy has led to that throughout, like, my studies, at least, of life and wisdom, is that, and even in religion they say this, like, I think that, like, the soul is infinitely beautiful. And to me, I read that as infinitely intelligent as well.
Okay.
And I think that we're all infinitely intelligent. But the question is, how out of touch are we with the oneness? And when we're out of touch with the oneness, all of a sudden, nothing makes sense anymore. Mm-hmm. Because, and what I mean by nothing makes sense, it's like truly like we have wars, we have chaos, we have things that, people are harming each other in, various capacities, and that's what doesn't make sense. And I don't think that we need a book. I think all we need is our own compass. The question is, how blurry is your compass?
Yeah.
I'm curious your thoughts on all that.
All right, let's go. Okay, so first thing that pops into my mind, I think that stupidity is a tool for degrading somebody. The concept of stupidity it's very belittling. It's not something that I really think is, it doesn't measure intelligence or intellect or anything like that. It's cruelty to me. I think you can be ignorant. I think you can lack information, and that's usually what you're ignorant to a fact. You're ignorant to something that you could later know. That's a thing. And I think that that's fair. That's okay. You can be ignorant, but I said it earlier in the conversation, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And that's ignorance. Being willing to go and explore what you don't know, that's intention, right? Being willing to go and sit with somebody and have the conversation and try to come to an understanding around something like, somebody asked me recently about, like, for example, for like, have you ever, like, do-rags and stuff like that? Like, you see me wear them at work, like when I come in and I'll have them, like, I wear it to, like, protect my hair from, like, if I'm sweating, or maintain my hairstyle. And it's something that's traditionally worn by black men, right? Or black people to protect their style. People have often, through prejudice, treated that like it was like a gang affiliated thing. Like, oh, they're a gang member, they have on a do-rag, beware. Or they wonder if anybody outside of kind of being black can wear it. But it's worth having a conversation. There's like an ignorance that sits there to think that no one else can wear it, or that it's a gang affiliated thing. We just have to have the conversation to try to come to, you just don't know what you don't know. And so, but be willing to ask. Don't jump to a conclusion. That's stupidity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You decided to jump to a conclusion about a person based on maybe somebody else who was ignorant. Ignorance following ignorance is stupidity, in my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
But then to go back to something else you said, I think there are a lot of people who are out of touch with themselves. There are a lot of people who are out of touch with themselves. But then they go and try and find themselves in everything outside of themselves. They try to go find themselves in whatever their vice is, or in the validation that somebody said, they try to get validated through whatever thing they're chasing. I'm trying to think of an example, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like you try to find yourself in some other aspect of the world outside of yourself when you are who you are. You just have to dig in. People don't, I heard somebody say this in the last year or so, where they were like, I don't like to sit with my own thoughts. You know what I mean? I don't like my thoughts. I don't like the way I think. And I'm curious to know more about that from this person. Haven't had much more of that conversation, but haven't had much more of that conversation yet. But to hear them say that, it's like there's something, the things that go on inside of them, they are uncomfortable with. And the only way to sift through that is to dig through that. You have to tap into it. The thing that makes you uncomfortable within yourself is something that you probably need to look at, so that you can come to terms with yourself. You can't come to terms with yourself if you're always avoiding yourself. You know what I mean? I think that's why a lot of people have they have stimulants, they have things that kind of disassociate them from their own mind or from their own emotions. I have known a lot of addicts in my life. And so it's like, I know members of my family who they just could not associate with their emotions sometimes. So the only thing that I knew them to be was an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Every time I saw them, they were drunk. I rarely saw them sober in the years that I've known them. But it's because they couldn't associate with themselves. And there's so much power in being able to heal those parts of yourself and like come to terms with why you are the way you are, so that you can be the best version of yourself. You know what I mean?
What do you think has allowed you, if you have, healed those parts of yourself? What do you rely on to heal?
I feel like I've certainly healed a lot in my life, but it's been observation of self. You know what I mean? We've used the word observation a couple times today. And I love a prompted journal that is asking me very specific questions, like to just sit, like I could journal, right? I could get any notebook with empty pages and just write. But for me, it helps to have a specific, very clear thing that I need to be focused on. To be able to say, okay, well, name a time when someone rejected you and how did that make you feel, and do you feel like you still carry that today, and in what way? You know?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And so then it's like I sit with that And I observe that, and I remember these different experiences that were like, oh, it came from that. The reason I do this sometimes, or the reason I show up this way sometimes, or I react this way. Things like that have really helped me. I read books by Young Pueblo, Mel Robbins, listening to David Bayer and Clark Keegley, and these men and women and great minds.
Big fan of all those people.
Yeah, oh,
Except
great.
the last one haven't recognized. Young
Pueblo.
No,
Wait,
I know Young Pueblo. The last one you said.
Who did I say last? I said Mel Robbins.
David
Bayer, Young Pueblo, Clark Keegley.
Clark Keegley. I don't know who that is.
He is on YouTube. Great mind. Love that guy so much.
Okay.
Look
I'll
forward
check
to
him out.
meeting him someday. But like reading the books, and then a lot of times with specifically Young Pueblo's books, at the end of each chapter, he'll propose a bunch of questions. And I'll get a notebook and use that notebook specifically for following that book and answer the questions and things like that. Like, what's your relationship to romance, or what's your relationship to love, or what have you? And just like sift through everything I feel. And then if I feel like I have like a negative point of view on a thing, I'd be like, well, why do I feel that way? And like just observing myself. Like,
Do you think that comes back to the intention?
yeah, very much so. Because I think more than anything, man, I value peace. That's such a big thing for me. I don't like chaos. I don't like chaos. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel that within myself, I'm like, nah, I got to figure out what that's about. You know what I mean? I'll cut out the world.
Why do you think some people,
You know what I mean?
find peace in chaos, it seems? That's like a spiritual question I always try to ask.
You said why people
Like
find
some-
comfort in chaos?
Peace in chaos.
Peace in
It
chaos.
seems like some people think that, like, okay, well, if I, like, get revenge on this person, if I flex on my ex or whatever, is, like, inherently kind of a chaotic... That is, like, an inherently chaotic thought. Like, right? Or if I, like, just get back on my partner. Or if I just, like, do better than my friends in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I just, like, even worse, go... harm someone to make money, or whatever it is, scam someone to make money. These are inherently chaotic things, but why do you think someone thinks that those things are going to bring them peace?
In my wonderful opinion, I feel like stuff like that, it almost feels like a need for validation. It
like
almost
that.
feels like a need for validation. Like, by seeing you worse off than me, I feel better about myself. I have more money than you, so I feel better about myself. Or I'm in a happier relationship than I was when I was with you, so now it's making me happy. For me, like, your condition does not determine whether or not I am happy or not. I'm happy because I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm not happy because you're better off or worse off. You know, I don't want to see somebody, whether I was hurt by them or not, I don't want to see you in pain. I don't want to see you losing or in lack or what have you. I just disassociate. You know what I mean? It's like I can completely just cut you off and be like, I hope you live your best life. What we did together was not, in my opinion, worth my time.
Or serving either of us, probably.
Serving either one of us. Like, so I'm going to let you go. And whether or not you are doing well, thriving, and all the things, that is completely up to you. And I hope that you are. But I'm not going to sit around and meditate on it. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like that thing is consuming you. If, like, I'm so consumed by whether or not they're doing whatever they're doing, it's like I'm still consumed by that.
Yeah, that validation you said. Yeah, I feel like it's and that validation, again, I think just comes from this unconditional love that is lacking within themselves and the outside world. Like, I always think, like, I hate to take things to extremes. I always take things to extremes, but I always think about...
Do it. Figure it out.
I always think about, like, the school shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Goes and shoots up a school. Very tragic thing.
Very much.
Like, I feel like that person is pushed to a point of that validation. Like, you're going to validate me no matter what, because of bullying or like this lack of like true love that was instilled by their parents, their immediate circles. Like, I truthfully don't think that anyone who was like unconditionally loved from a young age, whether that was even from just themselves, just their brother, just their sister, just their mom, just their dad, just from one other person, a teacher, a friend. Like, I don't think someone can then be pushed into a corner so much. And it's not even like the school shooter. I think it's the same thing as like a dictator. I think it's like the same thing as like a person who commits genocide or just like horrible acts in our world. Like, I think it's the same mentality of like, you're going to validate my perspective no matter what. Because
by force or otherwise.
because you didn't love me, and I truthfully think that's what it is. I think it's like, you didn't love me, and you're gonna be forced to at least just look at me.
Yeah, truly. When somebody goes to that extreme of like this mass shooter,
Right.
you know, it's like they have gotten to a point for one or more reasons where they feel like they need to express themselves in such a dynamic way, but a harmful way, right? Because not only are you taking lives or harming other lives, you're ending your own life, whether you are alive or not. You have ended your own. You've done. There's such a detriment to your experience. Like, you are probably going to spend the rest of your life in prison. That, or depending on where you are in the world, you will probably be put to death. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's like, that's that validation piece where it's like, this person has gone to an extreme to make sure that they feel validated in however they feel. I was bullied, so now everybody's going to pay for it, and no one heard me when I said it, so now I'm going to say it as loud as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But it's like, but now you've done something that you can't go back on, and you've affected your own life experience and the life experience of other people. You moved the twig 9 feet. You know what I mean? And now you're going to feel that experience, and so is everybody else.
Yeah, it's such a tragedy. And I think it could be avoided if we, like, I also just think that this, like, who's cool and who's not cool in high school, I think about this a lot. And, like, how do we get to, like, the place of, like, the cool kids and then the kids who get bullied and then the kids who feel just so outcasted that they have to go and do something like that. And I think it's just all nonsense. It goes back to, like, looks maxing. It's like, I think of what is cool and what is not cool in terms of value. Like, what value do you bring to the table?
Yep.
That's how you become cool, in my opinion. Like, and if you're, like, subtracting from the table, very much so, and you're taking from the table, as it goes back to the taking and giving thing, it's not only not cool, but I just don't think that's, like, the highest good of what you want either. Again, karma is the lies we tell ourselves. Like,
Who said that?
I
You
don't
recall?
know. It's this account on X
Okay.
that I follow, who's, like, very spiritual, talks about, like, very deep topics like reincarnation and things like that are like, it's like, whoa, like, where did that come from? But I'll send it to you if you'd love to. He says amazing things.
Please.
Like, all the time. I really appreciate him. I think it's like normal guy or null guy. It's like something around which is a funny name for, like, someone who says, like, the most
Introspective,
thoughtful, wise things. It's like, normal guy? What?
Yeah, truly. It's like, all right, I don't know if your handle supports your content, but I mean,
Beautiful.
It's normal for him.
Beautiful irony there. But yeah, it's like, I feel like karma is the lies we tell ourselves. It's like,
I want to know what that means.
well, what it means to me is, it's like the school shooter goes and shoots up a school, and they do that because the lie that they told themselves was, this is going to feel good, this is going to be justice, and this is going to, you know, whatever other lie that they told themselves. And then the karma is, of course, it didn't feel good. Excuse me. Of course, it didn't enhance their lives, didn't enhance other people's lives, and they ended up in a place they didn't want to be. And the same goes for our lives, I think, when we say that, you know, I can stay in this abusive relationship with my partner, but meanwhile, we really know when we really sit with ourselves and look at the uncomfortable shift in identity we need to take, which is I need to identify as someone who is going to actually just leave this person. Mm-hmm. That's going to require some discomfort. I can get out of this relationship, and I can do that and readjust my life. And that's going to be a new identity shift I'm going to have to take, and it's going to lead to, you know, a better life. And that's the honest truth that person perhaps needed to tell themselves. But if they stay in the lie of this abusive relationship is fine, this job I really am unhappy with is fine, I don't need to explore other options, etc., that karma plays out. That's what I think it means.
I want his quote to be different. In all honesty, I want his quote to be different because my understanding of karma is that it's the same thing as you reap what you sow. You know, what goes around comes around, that type of principle. The way, because to say karma is the lies we tell ourselves, karma is something that gives you back what you put out into the world. So the only lie that is, so if karma is the lies you tell yourself, then yeah, exactly. If you're lying to yourself, you're lying to yourself. That's essentially what he's saying. If you're saying karma is the lies you tell yourself, you're saying, well, if you're lying to yourself, then you're lying to yourself. It's delusion. So then he should just be saying delusion. He's talking about delusion.
Yeah.
Do you think how do you feel about that?
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I think what you're saying is that he's leaving out like the positive aspects of karma. Like if you give good, then that is
it finds its way back to you.
It finds its way back to you, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think more so, like, I think what he's more so talking about in that, which I appreciate about it, is like this is why I called episode 8 The Last Time I Swear. And I made like a stance. I was like, this is going to be the last time I swear, because I want you all to hear me. And I truthfully believe this is really important. The whole episode was about lies. And I just think that lies are so pervasive in our lives, to the point where almost everything is about the honest truth or the lies. Like everything that we're constantly sifting through in our lives. It's like, whatever is the most true thing, how can I cut to the most true thing?
Yeah.
And that's how I'll have the cleanest getaway in my Mercedes or whatever, my convertible, into a happy ever after. Like, how do you cut to the truth? And the cleanest way to get there is to cut out the lies. That's kind of the way I look at it, in the sense of like just kind of putting the spotlight on lies themselves, because I think they are so pervasive in all of our lives. And so if we can cut out the lies, we can actually find the good to reap and then see that karma.
I heard somebody say dishonesty is the fear of truth. And it's like being willing to sit with the truth is important. Being willing to observe the truth is important. But some people, again, they don't like the truth. Some people, well, I wouldn't say it's delusion, but I'll say the truth makes some people uncomfortable.
It makes me uncomfortable. It makes everyone uncomfortable until you realize I think, this is my perspective, until you realize there's actually a deeper truth to your truth that you have right now, which is this almost, I guess, I want to say faith in divine nature, that everything's just going to be okay. You know, I think like a lot of us, it's like, for me, when I was growing up, I hated going to, we lost the camera.
That one said, you know what, I've had enough.
Let me see if the at least this one's still going. Hopefully, oh, it's at 2%.
Heard that.
We'll finish the podcast on
Record.
on this one.
Yeah.
If you just want to hand me this mic, because I think it's working. Okay. But sorry guys,
It's all good.
Applebaum incident doesn't have the technology power to last longer than whatever we're at. But last thing I want to say, and then I'll hand it off to you. I just think that like the ultimate truth is that everything's gonna be okay. And I remember when I was younger, I would go on trips and I would hate the beginning of trips. I would hate traveling. I would hate the transition. But then when I got there and I sat in that, I would find peace. And I think the truth is like that to a lot of people. I think it's like this thing that they think is so scary, and it is initially, until we sit in it more and realize the deeper truth of everything, which is that everything's going to be okay. And that even if we have these problems that we think are overwhelming, if we just ultimately have the faith, I think that that's the most powerful truth there is, personally.
Yes. I think I do agree. I think that everything definitely always works itself out. No matter what is happening, the scales will always be balanced. You know what I mean? One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible, which I am always like, I don't really subscribe to religion, but it's obviously the thing that I know the most, even still as I've explored other things. It's like, count it all joy when you go through hardships because it produces endurance.